Well. I think it's time to look forward to things with the Philadelphia Eagles. Not look at the bad things and just a couple good things, but look forward to free agency, look forward to the draft. So, in this video, I want to cover specifics. Did a little bit of extra editing in this video because I think it just helps the viewer and it helps me with the numbers in general because I had to look all this up and kind of do some homework on it a little bit, but kind of see everything from the naked eye of how much can the Eagles save, what's the cap space, dead cap. We're gonna go over players that could be restructured, traded, cut, released, you name it. We'll go over the draft picks for the Philadelphia Eagles, everything there, and how much realistically can the Eagles save, and what could they actually afford in free agency? Could they get a top of the line player? And it might actually surprise you that the Eagles are in pretty good cap situation. So let's get to all the numbers and all the moves that could be made.
You better do. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So I want to go over the specifics of the Eagles. I want to go over everything possible regarding the numbers, cap, dead, all that great stuff, a draft, players that can get moved. So we're not confused on the situation that the Eagles are facing going into the offseason now, since we are still trying to find two coordinators that is taking forever. Seems like we already have our defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, right now. But we've been talking about that all week pretty much. So let's go over the cap space. Now, realistically, this is what they have up north of $28 million, which isn't that bad. I think that it actually includes the Jason Kelce restructure that was like $2.4 million in that area. Now, the dead cap for the Eagles is a little over $4 million. Now, realistically, who counts for the dead cap right now? It's actually Derek Barnett. Derek Barnett counts a little over $4 million towards the dead cap. So we're still suffering from Derek Barnett right now. So he go towards the dead cap for this year in 2024. And I think the other player that's on the list is Kyron Johnson, that I don't think he's here right now as well. So that's towards the dead cap too. But cap space isn't that bad. But let's go over into the free agents that we have that are leaving this team, and that, we have a whole list here. Definitely some to look at that I'm definitely going to explain to you guys. You have Fletcher Cox, BG, Marcus Mariota, DeAndre Swift, Boston Scott, Zach Cunningham, Justin Evans, Shaq Leonard, Sewell Opeta, Rashad Penny, Zacchaeus, Nicholas Morrow, Albert O, Braden Mann, Jack Driscoll, Sean Bradley, Quez Watkins, Jack Stahl. So to go over this really quick, okay? There's only very few players that would want back from here. You talk about the veterans and Fletcher Cox, BG. If Fletch comes back, rotation did actually really well for us. Really well. I wish our defense was I wish the scheme was just a lot better. I think they would have flourished a lot more. Fletcher Cox comes back in the rotation very well. Not the same Fletcher Cox we knew years ago, but did a really good job. BG coming back on his last year. He says he wants to come back for one more year in his career and kind of end it. It would have to be a veteran minimum because, you get some pressures this year, but I think the whole defensive line hit a wall regardless. So to bring both of them back, I think for the Eagles' perspective, it's a high possibility. Now you look at DeAndre Swift. Yes, my number one guy to bring back is DeAndre Swift. It was criminal that he just hit over 1,000 yards the second to last game of the season. Should have been the second best back in the league, between 1,300 to 1,400 yards. I'm not even kidding. I mean, they didn't even put him in the passing game. They took him out of the passing game. And your only running back that you have right now is Kenneth Gainwell on the last year of his deal. Okay, I hope an OC, whether it's Cliff Kingsbury or somebody, comes in and says, man, we have to re-sign DeAndre Swift. If he wants to come back, we need to try to find a number and get it done. And I really hope so. 25 years old. DeAndre Swift was probably my favorite signing of this past season. Okay, and it's unfortunate that he was underutilized. Not just was a healthy year and showed the league that he still, that he still has it, and for a young age, and how the Lions kind of, they gave up on him, and he kind of had a chip on his shoulder all year. It would have been nice to go into that Lions playoff game with DeAndre Swift and, kind of give the Lions what they wanted. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, we weren't even making it to that game. Now, Sewell Opeta is an interesting one. With Kelce coming back, I think it looks like it. Cam Jurgens stays at right guard. You have Tyler Steen still there. Jack Driscoll Obviously, I'm sorry, not Jack Driscoll. Yeah, Jack Driscoll is still, can't play right tackle. I don't even think he can play right guard at this point. Sewell Pettit can play both spots really, really well. Is a high valued player for the Eagles that can play multiple positions. So I think they really have to bring him back. Otherwise, you have no depth behind Landon Dickerson at all, especially the right guard spot too. Tight ends. Albert O is a free agent. You traded for him and you did nothing with him. Why did you trade? Another guy you acquired and you didn't use him. He was a healthy scratch for multiple games. Jack Stahl, great blocker in value, does a lot of the dirty work. He had 5 catches for 30-something yards. They didn't really use him. We don't have a number 2, really. Calcaterra is still on the roster right now, but the guy is getting concussion after concussion, and unfortunately, he's been hurt way too much. Dallas Goedert is a liability at this point because he always misses 4 to 5 weeks. He always has that little injury. The broken forearm wasn't his fault. It's unfortunate, but things just happen. You have to get somebody prepared and ready, not like they utilized the tight ends that well this year, with Nick and Brian Johnson's game plan, really Nick's game plan. So depending if they want to bring some of these, I think they need to bring Albert O back to give him a shot. And Jack Stahl is just, he's got familiarity. He's been here. He's had starting experience. A lot of these guys have had starting experience. We don't have a legit number 2 that could just take Goddard's spot and play at a high level. It's unfortunate, but Albert O is just a waste. I forgot what the draft picks were. I think it was a 7th, or I forgot what it was. But did nothing with him. So there you go with that. You have no wide receiver 3, no Zacchaeus, no Quez Watkins. Both of them are walking. And to be honest with you, I'd rather probably get somebody else. Zacchaeus just didn't really have much of a shot. I mean, what do you have? 2 touchdowns for the year. I didn't think he had much opportunity this year. Great blocker downfield. And Quez Watkins was like, this was supposed to be an avenged year of his career for Quez, but it's been hurt and just not reliable. And unfortunately, he talked the talk this offseason when Zacchaeus was signed. Got really pissed off, says, I'm going to show you what I got, and didn't really show much of anything. So Eagles are empty at that position at wide receiver 3. Sean Bradley coming back would be great. Great special teams guy, got hurt in the offseason and brings a lot of energy to this team. So need more special teamers. No doubt the Eagles lost a few of them this year. And everybody else, I don't care. Yes, the Eagles need a backup QB. I don't want Boston Scott back. I mean, at this point, I don't even care. I mean, Boston Scott doesn't really change anything for me, especially on kick returns, whatever. Justin Evans, safety, linebacker, keep everybody out. I don't want Nicholas Morrow back. Zach Cunningham might be the only one that maybe they'll sign to a 1-year deal, and that's like if. But we know that linebacker definitely needs to be revamped. So that is the free agent list and some of my views. Braden Mann, the punter, got to come back, no doubt. He did a really good job for us. And, his hang time was great. Some of his punts really saved some of our games that we had this year. So I thought he did a good job. So that's the free agent list for the Philadelphia Eagles right now. And that is my view on that list. Now let's go into the players that can get cut, restructured, traded, how much cap we can get back for some players. And like I said, this involves Kelsey already being restructured for $2.3 million. Now, first on the list is Jake Elliott, $1.8 million restructure. You can get that done. Nice big chunk of money you can get back. Not too big, but hey, it makes a difference at the end of the day. Second on the list is Hassan Reddick. Now, this one is really interesting. Now, I think Hassan Reddick could be in a potential holdout with the Philadelphia Eagles because he's had double-digit sack seasons. Sorry, I can't even talk right now. Double-digit sack seasons for the Eagles the last 2 years. And he's not really paid that much. So this guy, Reddick deserves to be paid more money. Sorry, but he does. And a Fangio scheme, and however we think he's not going to be used the right way, we'll see what happens if he's hired. But Reddick is he's our best defensive lineman right now. That was in pass coverage ways too much, and so you're not going to cut him. You save a nice chunk of change there, big chunk, $16 million on a post-June cut. But a restructure at $11 million and maybe extend him that could save maybe 9 to 11. I think that's going to be the number. That's a nice chunk of change, but I think potentially he's going to hold out. He might be the only player that holds out this summer before the offseason program starts to get more money. And I think Howie Roseman can extend this contract no problem and save a lot of money in the same deal. So no issue with this at all, but just giving you the numbers for him. The defensive line is in dire need to be more productive, especially with your back seven off the line. So it's kind of nuts. The biggest one here that needs to happen. No, not sort of happens. Not I think it should happen. No, this needs to happen. That's Avonte Maddox, a post-June cut, $7.1 million. Okay, you got to get that money. I'm sorry, but he is a liability. Not only he's hurt, then Zech McPherson gets hurt, your backup nickel. Then all you've been doing all year, you tried to flirt with Bradbury playing in the nickel. You tried to put Eli Ricks and Ringo and moving guys around. You've been rotating guys in so many games at that position, and we don't have a reliable guy. Now, Isaiah Rodgers might be the number one nickel that we have. Isaiah Rodgers is quick. He's twitchy. He's coming off that gambling stuff that's going on. He was suspended for the whole year, and he's already been showing on the internet he's ready to go for the Eagles. This offseason program, he's excited. So he's on the exempt list. He can't talk to the team. But unfortunately, Avonte Maddox, we have to say goodbye. He's been hurt way too much, 4 or 5 times in 2 years. I mean, it's just crazy. Even going into the Super Bowl in 2022, he's lucky he came back a third time. A third time, okay? Not a third time, a second time. I'm just saying because at the end of the day, look, if we didn't go to the Super Bowl, he probably wouldn't have been in that game. If we didn't even hit the playoffs, he wouldn't have been in that game. So, I've had it, man. And then he came back this past year and he just looked horrible. Yeah, he hasn't played in months. What was I supposed to expect with Avonte Maddox? This move is a number one definite move that has to happen. I do not want Avonte Maddox. I don't want to play him at safety. I do not want to keep him just because. Sorry, Dallas Goedert, you might have to move out of the house soon and get another place because at this point, it is what it is with Avonte Maddox. Definitely needs to happen. Another move that probably has to happen, 1,000,000% has to happen, is Kevin Byard. Kevin Byard, we traded for him by the trade deadline. He didn't really have a fantastic year. He's a 30-year-old, 30-year-old, safety at this point. Our defense was as bad as it is. He had 1 pick for the year during that Kansas City game. He was covering tight ends this year. He didn't play well, but I think as a cap casualty, you really have to get rid of him. We need a rebuild at safety. Okay, there's no Justin Evans. Sidney Brown has a torn ACL. He's out until mid-October. We're not even going to have Sidney Brown for training camp or anything. Your off-season program is going to have no safeties if we obviously went into the off-season program right now. $14 million on a post-June cut, $9.2 million on a restructure if they extend him as well. I don't know if it's even worth it to extend him. I want to go younger. I want to get some contact, good coverage safeties. I want to get guys that just want to hit somebody in the mouth. That's what I really want. I want the youth movement to continue with this team on the defensive side of the ball, and we need a couple of new safeties. Sidney Brown obviously is hurt, but we either go into free agency and go sign a big-time safety or a big-time linebacker. Whichever one they don't sign, they go into the draft and draft pretty high. I think that should be the number one thing they should do. If they're going to free agency, they're gonna get top dollar for somebody, and somebody maybe a little bit younger, 26, 27 years old, someone that's just getting into their prime. But I think with Kevin Byard, it's a waste for him just to stay here at this point. We were excited about it, but obviously the defensive structure, setting players up to fail, and the players are playing soft, and they practice soft, and there's so many issues. The safety spot is it's got to be revamped. It's got to get done. And this move has to get done. I don't even want to keep Kevin Byard. I'm not into keeping him. I don't want to keep any 30-year-old players. It's time to start moving on, and getting more cap. And this is a big one. This is your biggest cap casualty. This is the one that's going to get you a lot of money here. And, I hope they do that. We'll see what happens with Kevin Byard. But I think this is a post-June. It's got to happen. It's got to happen regardless. Now, Jordan Mailata's a $2.7, savings 2.7 million on a restructure. I think we already did this because I know they restructured him this year. So this move might have been done already. Let me know if I'm wrong on that, but I know for a fact that I did a video during the season that they restructured Mulata and saved some money. So, we'll see what happens with that, but I think that already happened. Dallas Goedert, $2.2 million restructure, another one there. Obviously for more cap saving. So potentially, if you're looking at, if they did, just say they did all of this, just say they did all these moves, right? And that's potentially, the Eagles could have 60 to 65 million in cap space. I mean, that's how much cap they could actually have. Which is a lot. It's a lot of money. And spend it wisely and don't be stupid with it. But I don't think all these moves are happening. I think Byard's happening, Maddox is happening. I mean, and things that could potentially hurt us are, I think, one of the big moves that can hurt us, not really hurt us, I think people are making a big deal about it, is James Bradberry going into the season with a $4.3 million cap hit, which really isn't that bad at all. But if you cut him post-June on top of the contract he's on, with 2 years left on his deal, counting this year, I mean, he's a $15 million in dead money. I mean, it's horrible. You save 10, so it doesn't matter. The 15 million in debt is way too much. So Bradberry needs to be extended for a couple years, spread out that dead cap of $15 million into a few years, which you could do what, $5 million a year, which isn't bad. That's peanuts. That's pennies. $5 million in dead cap. So I don't think Bradberry is going to be here. Slay, we'll see what happens. But Bradberry is not going to be here. I don't care what defensive coordinator. There's no way a defensive coordinator is going to walk into the room and say that Bradberry is deserving of that second spot. Okay, I think he flourished a lot in 22, the Super Bowl year, with a lot of the I think the defensive line was monstrous. 70 sacks for the season, really benefited the corners a lot. And the guy has struggled. Simple as that. Just doesn't look like the same player. And a lot of changes made to the defense. You're starting to see how these players are starting to take form. And Bradberry, you just got to extend him, spread out the dead cap, and I think you'll be fine right after that. So everyone's saying, "Oh my God, the dead cap's gonna." Yeah, the dead cap's gonna be nuts if they just cut him right now. If they extend him, then cut him, which they, front offices do that with a lot of players. So this way, the dead cap isn't a big deal going forward with certain players, like in James Bradberry as an example of that whole situation. Now, so that's there's some good time money the Eagles could have. I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to be 60 to 65, but it could be up there. And the Eagles normally don't have that much money. And to be honest with you, it's not bad. I mean, really, your trenches are pretty good. You add a couple pieces, a veteran, maybe a couple veterans, and you draft one in the draft, maybe. There's a lot of things they could do, a premier edge rusher, but I think they really have to spend money at one of the two spots, whether it is safety and it is at linebacker. And I think whatever you don't spend big money on is you're going to have to go into the draft and really pull off a heist draft. And Howie changes the philosophy of how they're drafting, because you really need to build this defense back up with a lot of youth. And I think, we have the necessities to do it. We'll have the cap space to do it. To sign that guy. They'll be able to sign one guy to big money if they really wanted at the safety or linebacker spot. I'd rather them draft a linebacker early. Probably not going to happen. And I know there's a lot of safeties available in free agency, a lot of linebackers available in free agency. So should be really interesting what they do. And lastly, I want to go over the Eagles 2024 draft picks as a whole right now. All right, your first round pick 22. You have a second rounder, 2 seconds. The second rounder is from New Orleans. You have a third round comp, fifth round from Minnesota, and 3 other fifth round comps. You're going to go getting 4 compensatory picks. Howie loves working that compensatory game, which he always does pretty well in. And I don't think the Eagles are going to draft 4 guys in the 5th round. It's not going to happen. So one or two of those picks is going to get traded for a pick for the 25 draft and maybe a couple to move up, if they really have to. So there's some good ammo for the Eagles this year. And the Eagles weren't the best team Lost the last 5 out of 6. Their pick went to 22. So it could have been a lot higher this year if they made it and then lost in the playoffs. Could have been a lot higher. So I guess we're in a better situation that way going forward. But let me know what you guys think about the Eagles cap space. Players that need to go, is Avonte Max and Kevin Byard kind of like a final? Like they really have to get something done. They have to just cut both of those guys in general. Kevin Byard is the big cap casualty right now. You guys let me know about all of that. And realistically, do you think the Eagles could, who should they sign to big money this free agency? Is it linebacker? Is it safety? Is it premier edge rusher? You guys let me know in the comment section below. I hope this video at least gave you a little bit of a dive into the free agents, the specific numbers of where we're at, and what the Eagles could potentially do. So you guys let me know. You guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Chicks, what up, follow outside. Peace out, guys. Peace.